You're listening to the Feed You podcast. This is episode 9.
Welcome to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello, welcome. I'm so excited you guys are here this week with me on the Feed You podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and I cannot wait to introduce you. I'm so excited to one of my friends, one of my closest friends, and one of the people that I really admire who's taking her business and just setting it on fire. So this week, I thought it would be an awesome time to talk about some new ways to get in front of some new audiences to really talk about what you do and get people more interested in what you do and get them to take the next step in your sales funnel. A lot of times we're out networking and we're just kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off, and we're sending email and we're on social media and we're going live and we're doing all these things, but we're not seeing any traction. Well, my guest today is going to talk to us about how to use speaking to not only get in front of our ideal client, but grow our email list and grow our business. So I've known Phylecia for about 4 years now, and I was lucky enough to meet her when she was first getting known as the budgetologist. And I'll let her tell that story in just a few minutes. But since that time, she's kind of gone in a few new directions. She took it upon herself to go and do a challenge on Facebook and go live every single day for a year. And now I know it's been over a year. She's still going live every single day, and she's just really phenomenal at what she does. On top of that, she is speaking in some of the most amazing and wonderful places all over the world, including just landing and getting ready to give her first TED Talk. I know the TED Talk is sold out, and she'll be giving that talk coming up in just a few weeks right after this episode goes live. So let me tell you a little bit about my friend and one of the people I admire most, Phylecia Jones. Phylecia is the self-named budgetologist who travels the world, having fun and doing what she loves. She enjoys speaking, mentoring, helping business owners with their money, and of course, making new friends. She wants to be able to help you to stop wasting your time and get more of what you love right now. Please help me welcome to the show, Phylecia Jones. Welcome, everybody, to the Feed You podcast. It is my extreme pleasure to invite my friend and one of the people I admired most in this business world of ours, Phylecia Jones, to the podcast. Hi, Phylecia.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks so much for being here. It really is awesome to have you on the podcast. And I when I started this podcast, you were one of the first people I thought of. So I'm very happy that you're here.
You know, I'm excited to be here.
For those who don't know of your brilliance and amazingness, like I do, would you please share a little bit about yourself and maybe just a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, thank you for that. So I'm a pretty simple person. I like to introduce myself now as, I travel the world speaking, drinking Prosecco, and making new friends. That sums me up pretty quickly, but on the technical side of things, I am a budgetologist, and I do work with business owners, helping them feed and manage their budgets. And I have a lot of fun doing it. And I've been able to really travel the world, travel all over the United States, and just meet a whole bunch of cool new people.
Awesome. So I remember when you became the budgetologist, because I've known you that long. And I'm curious, me being the brand person, I'm curious how that impacted you when you really were firm in becoming the budgetologist, and how that impacted your brand and helped it grow.
It's so funny because I say I'm pretty clueless about branding, and I honestly don't know that much about it, but I will say actually becoming a budgetologist and sticking to that title has actually helped people either turn their heads to me and like, oh, like, what is that? And I want to know more. And the fact that it ties into the business name, Keep Up with Mrs. Jones. And so now I'm just known as Mrs. Jones, which is so funny. But I do love it when people ask me like, what's your last name? I was like, it really is Jones. They're like, oh, really? But I get that a lot too, but it seems to all kind of tie together. And I guess if you want to call that the brand, it just makes it really easy and makes people seem a little bit more intrigued by what I do.
I love it. I think it's awesome. So I invited Phylecia today because she's kind of gone in a new direction. On top of being a budgetologist, she's also a speakerologist. Is that a word? Can I make that up?
It is today.
And she has grown her business through doing a lot of speaking. And I thought it would be really beneficial for the listeners to hear how you've done that and how you've turned that into profits and how you've gotten to be on some of these amazing stages that you're getting to that you're finding yourself on.
All right, cool. Where do you want to start?
So let's start with, why did you choose speaking?
You know what? I think speaking chose me. I try to avoid speaking. It really is. I'm an introvert at heart. I have a degree in computer science, and I was a lab rat while I worked for the Navy. And I was good as a lab rat, but I did have a secret side. I was a professional cheerleader, so I'm a little oddball at times. But I went through a coaching program, and one of the modules was about growing your business through marketing, and speaking was one of them. And I remember I just kept flipping past that little section, like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I was on team, build a website, make $1 million, because that's how everybody else did it. I quickly learned the hard way that it doesn't work that way. And so I kind of embraced the speaking thing. And I went out there and just, I know it sounds easy, but I actually just went out there and just started. And I said, all right, I'll do it this way because I don't know any other way to grow this business. And so I just kind of embraced speaking and just went after it.
So how did you get started? For somebody that's brand new and they're in the same shoes you were, where they're like, I don't want to speak. There's a lot of us out there, especially in the creative world, that are just like, nope, I want to be behind my computer building stuff. If that's the case, where do they start? How did you get the gumption and we're like, nope, I'm doing it no matter what? And how did you even find your first speaking gig?
I will say, like I said, I'm kind of like a dual personality person. Depends on what day you find me. So I have the introvert side. I just want to be on my computer. But like I said, my other side of me was that, I was a baton twirler, a professional cheerleader. So every now and then when I'm forced out of my comfort zone, I know how to just step into that. And I did have PR training and media training long, long time ago, but I had to kind of suck it up and look at all the different methods of, people creating all these sales funnels and social media. And I was like, you know what? I don't know how to do any of that. And I don't want to do any of it. So I just all right, let's go and do this speaking thing. And the way I started and what I tell most people is just ask. Look at all of the networking groups that you go to. All of us at least go to a couple of meetup groups, and just I always say, just get the ovaries to ask, and just ask hey, can I get on your stage? Can I share my story, or can I share some tips that have worked with me? And that kind of gets the ball rolling, just not being afraid to ask for what you want, because everybody secretly calls themselves a speaker, but very few will actually get the nerve up to just go and ask for their first gig. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people will actually just say yes.
Nice. And so how, for you started talking on the budget side of the world. And now I know you have a couple other talks, but how did you come up with your topic and determine what you wanted to talk about and put it into a condensed speech? I think people struggle with that, and they're like, I don't even know where to start.
That is so funny. I just got a Facebook message where somebody is asking me, how do you put together your talks? And I've kind of avoided, really coaching people on how to put together a talk, because I know there are other people who are out there that are really good at it. But here's the secret, and here's how I started. I created a blog post called The 5 Ways to Budget for a Business Owner, and I turned that into a talk. I literally turned my blog post into a talk, and it was the same talk that I have done I've done it for years now. I actually don't have that many talks. I am pretty much a one-trick pony, but everything was built off of a listicle. And, I learned all about listicles, and those are the blog posts, 5 ways to look prettier in the morning. And I created a listicle, and I said, I don't have anything else to talk about, so I will do this. I have my opening. I have my 5 points, and I have a closing. If you've ever seen me speak, every talk that I do actually still follows that formula. Always have 5 points. I always have an opening and I have a closing. And it's just a simplified way for me to stay on track. I know it's like no secret there.
No, that's awesome though, because I think people make it really hard, and it doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah, people do that because I see all the people like, let's create your story, let's do all of that. I added the story part in later, but I literally built everything off of 5-part listicle blog posts.
Nice. Okay, so we have make it simple, make your speech simple, something that you already do. We have just ask, and then, you're on some pretty big stages, my friend. I kind of feel like I knew you when, but now I know you're meeting a lot of the goals that you set for yourself on as far as getting on stages that you've really wanted to be on. So do you have any insider tips or tricks or, that have helped you get there as far as, even finding where you want to be or anything like that?
Oh, okay. This is really good. Thank you for asking this because I haven't really revealed a lot of how I've been going after the speaking gigs, but I am so simple. And I think a lot of us try to make things way too hard. I only wanted to be on one stage, and I wanted to be on that stage, and the stage is so huge. I still haven't made it there yet, but it's so big. And it was just like, all right, what do I need to do to get on this stage? Like, how many gigs do I need to get under my belt? Who do I need to go? So every time I get a gig, I feel like I'm getting one step closer to that one big stage. And I know it's a very hard way for a lot of people to look at things, because people are like, I want to get on stage. I want to just make some money. Whereas for me, it was literally my only goal is to get on that one stage. And then I added one like little sub stage to it. And I actually achieved that this year, which is so cool. But it was actually trying to figure out, and I kind of gamify everything. And like I said, my background is in computer science, and I did a little bit of hacking. And so my brain works this way. All right, I want to get to step D, but how do I get there when I have no clear route? I don't know who to talk to. It's like, all right, I'll just take it step by step by step, getting me closer to that point. So that's how I've been able to get on all the stages, because I know I needed to get on bigger and bigger stages just so that people can pay attention to me. And, a little dirty secret in business is that sometimes people won't pay attention to you until you start doing big things. So that's kind of how I've been operating. And I know I'm kind of giving you all of my insights on this.
I love it. Well, and so I would say that, the stage that you get on every single day is on your live broadcast. And I'm just curious, as me, I'm walking that journey now. You've inspired me, as well as some other people, to get on there every single day. And I know with me, it can be kind of frustrating. You're like, nobody's watching, anybody out there. And you just feel like, what am I doing? Why am I spending my time here? But I can see, the long haul of it. That's what, I know now that Phylicia's long haul has been like, now it's totally different for her. Mm-hmm. And so I guess my first question is like, how do you always come up with something to talk about? Because you're on there every single day. And I feel like I'm on there for 5 minutes and I'm all, well, basket's empty.
All right. So what Elisa's talking about is that I actually live stream every day. I have a show called Ask the Budgetologist, and I started doing it every day starting July 1st, 2017. And there were a couple of things that were going on in 2017 that kind of forced me up against a wall. I'm like, all right, I got to do something very different, because what I'm doing right now just ain't working. And my husband gave me an idea while we were walking the dog, and he's a gamer. He watches people play video games on Twitch. And if you don't know what Twitch is, go search it. It is like a nerd haven for all gamers. We don't adult very well in our house, but he was telling me that in order for those guys that he watched to grow their subscription base and their watcher base, is that they live stream from 5 to 8 hours every day up to 2 years. And I was like, whoa, and my husband, he watches them. He's watching them right now. And I was like, I don't know if I can live stream that many hours. That's too crazy. But this thing of going live every day, and I was like, all right, maybe I should try it. And he was like, why not? You need to do something different. So I just got up and I was like, all right, here's episode number 1. I'm just going to live stream and talk about budgeting. And over time, it got better because I'm pretty certain in the beginning it was pretty horrible because you don't know what to say. And after 10 minutes, it's like, okay, I'm done now. Bye. But the way I came up with everything is I have a topic for each day so that I'll know that on Mondays, I'm talking about business owner finances. On Tuesdays, I talk about speaking gigs. On Wednesdays, is mindset. And while I'm in the shower, that's how I figure out what to talk about. Because I just know have a trigger, Wednesday mindset. Okay, let's see what we're going to talk about with mindset. And half the time is from interactions with people who talk to me about money, things that I see on social media. And a lot of it, I just give my opinion, and that's how I keep going every day and try to make it as entertaining as possible. And yeah, I don't know who's watching sometimes. You just get in and you just hope one person watches. And I think I had one person. I made it up to 2 people after 3 months. That was great.
That's awesome. I love it. Keeping it real, people, keeping it real.
Gotta keep it real.
So my follow-up question is, you spent a lot of time and you invested a lot of energy into going live. Has that led to speaking gigs for you?
It has led to some very interesting doors being open that I did not expect to be open, because my only goal was to, okay, maybe I can grow my list, or maybe I can get enough followers on Facebook. But it has been quite interesting. I've met some very new people in very bigger places than me, which I did not know. I landed a speaking gig from the live stream. But what has been very interesting is the people who recognize me when I go out. Now, I'm not a celebrity at any, only one person every 3 months recognizes me. But it really is a weird thing when you go to a conference, they're like, hey, I've been watching you every morning. It's like, okay, that's cool and creepy at the same time. Who are you? Because it's always the people who don't interact with you. And it's like, and they were like, you've been watching me every morning. Like, who are you? And I will say this, we get caught up in nobody's watching, because you don't see the numbers right there. It has been so surprising how many people have come up to me and say, yeah, I listened to the podcast, or yeah, I listened to the live stream. And you're just like, who are you? Why haven't you said like or hey or something? And that's been the crazy part about it. So if you're doing it, and definitely for you, just keep going. You never know who's a voyeur. And I have to admit, I am one of those. It'll take me 3 years before I reach out and say, hey, but I'll watch you every day though.
That's funny. That's awesome.
I think I creep people out because, oh yeah, I saw that you did this the other day on Facebook. They're like, you watched that? Like, yeah, I see.
Well, and it's awesome to know that, because I think a lot of people are like, well, it's too late. It's too crowded. It's too whatever. And I don't think it is. I think that, the early adapters are out there doing it. And there's still people that in the business world that haven't even gotten on LinkedIn or Facebook yet, which is shocking to me. But okay.
But our worlds are small. Just going back to what you're saying, our worlds are smaller than what we think. Because I was one of those, oh, everybody's speaking. Oh, everybody's doing a podcast. And then, you go visit some people. They're like, what? What's a podcast? Like, what are you talking about? What's a live stream? Like, I can do that on my phone. So I think sometimes we have to get out of our own little bubbles, because in our own little world, it seems crowded, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people are clueless to what's going on in our little worlds.
I 100% agree with that, especially when I had this weekend, I was at a parade and I had somebody walk up to me and go, hey, I saw your live stream this week. And I was like, what?
You're like, who are you?
Who are you? No, I knew who they were. It was a neighbor. It was a neighbor of mine, but I just thought it was funny that,
doesn't that creep you out? Doesn't it creep you out when people that you do know follow you?
And I've only been doing it 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So
yeah, it's kind of weird, because I've had high school friends. I was like, why are you watching this? Like, stop it.
That's funny. Oh, okay. So you have a new course coming up for speakers that I know you're launching or in the process of launching. So will you tell us a little bit about that course and how it came to be?
Oh, wow. This course has been in the background for years. And I will tell you another a secret of how I do my speaking gigs. So I talk about money. And I have always wanted to get on stage at FinCon, which is a financial bloggers conference. And that's my industry. That's where I get to nerd out. But I was looking at the requirements one year and they don't want people talking about money. I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to talk about? And I took this little thing, I call it the inadvertent expert talk, something that you inadvertently became an expert in, and you pull this talk out whenever you need it. And, because I talk about money most of the time, I don't do my speaker talk. And I was like, all right, I'll craft this talk just for FinCon. And I'll talk about how I've been getting speaking gigs. And it has been interesting that people actually want to know how to get speaking gigs because, like I said, in my own little world, I assume everybody knows how to do this. Because to me, it was just easy. I have a background in researching and science. I was like, all right, this is easy. There's the internet, boom, go. And what I realized, or I had a friend who strongly told me this, I say everybody needs an 11:30 at night friend. That's the friend who curses you out and tells you what you really need to be working on. And she was like, people don't know how to do this and people will need, want your help. And I was like, you're crazy. Like, this is simple. And I actually launched my first class a year ago it sold out within about 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm on something. And so my friend now, she rubs it in my face every time I talk to her. Like, I told you. So I decided to turn that into a course. And it's not it is not like a very, I like to say that it's not the most polished course in the world. It's not me scripting out everything. It is literally me telling you every tactic, everything that I have used, everywhere that I search, like how to search, who to search, how to find that person. And I even have classes from when I'm at a speaking event pointing out who you need to talk to, who you don't need to talk to. And I like to believe that it's like real talk on what everybody else won't tell you when it comes to getting speaking gigs and being realistic with how much work it takes to go and get them. So I'm so excited about this course. And my only promise is that if you do the work, I guarantee you'll have a system that you can repeat over and over again, and you can go out and get all the speaking gigs in the world as well. So it's not rocket science. I hung out with rocket scientists. This is just doing some work.
So, and I think that's an important key point. And you and I have talked about that before. You have to carve out time in your day, and most entrepreneurs are they have a lot of things that they're balancing. So what would you say is a realistic time expectation to devote, like every day? Do you need to devote 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, or is it weekly, or what? I mean, what does that look like for people that are trying to get speaking gigs?
So the first thing that you need to do if you want to get speaking gigs, I need you to make a decision if you really want to do it or not. And that's the first step, because there are a lot of people who are being pushed into becoming speakers when they really don't want to, or they think it's just the easy way to get more clients. I need you to decide that if it's something you really want to do, and then once you do that, treat it like a product in your business. And that was the biggest mind shift for me, was realizing that speaking is a product. It's not a privilege. It's not, well, people need to see me speak. No, it's like, all right, it's a product, and I got to go sell my product and make it look really good and take care of it. So that's the first step. And then what I had to do, which I always recommend to everyone, whoever works with me about speaking gigs, I say carve out 8 hours, 1 day a week. 1 day a week, sit down and plant your butt in a seat and actually get to researching and pitching. And I call it the opportunity day. And how that came to me was I was at FinCon one year, and you do the networking thing, and I met someone who was brand new, and we did the woe is me stuff, like, oh my gosh, my business sucks. Oh my gosh, my business sucks too. And so we both did the woe is me. And 8 months later, I saw them on the cover of USA Today, and I was like, what? I was like, they said their business sucked too. And I remember my husband was asleep. It was like 5 a.m. and I couldn't wake him up yet. So I jumped out of bed. I was like, oh, I need you to wake up. I need you to wake up. And of course he had no idea what I was talking about when when I told him. I was like, oh my gosh, you see this? And he's like, who are you? What is this? And I was like, he's on the cover. He said his business sucked. And at that moment, I realized that opportunities were not going to come to me. They weren't going to fall in my lap. I had to go and create them. So from that point on, I created Opportunity Day. And for 8 hours every week, I plant my butt in a seat and I go and find speaking gigs. And I tell people, if you cannot give me 8 hours, at least 4. 4. But don't be surprised if you're not getting your 100 speaking gigs, because now you need to give more time to it. But it really is taking that 8 hours once a week and actually focusing, turning the phone off and doing what you need to do to go after the gigs, because they're out there. You just need to focus on getting them.
So there are 2 value bombs here that I want to reiterate just because I want people to hear them. Number 1 value bomb was you need to treat speaking like it's a product in your business. And that, like, I don't think people do not do that, and you have to do it. And number 2 is you have to have that day. You have to have one day a week that you're dedicated, just like you would with anything else, whether you're creating a training, you're creating a new course, you're doing content creation, you've got to create that time.
Yep.
So that is such awesome inspiration and advice. And I really love that. I love your down to earth mannerism about it, that, you know, like, anybody can do this, but you got to put in the time. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people as entrepreneurs, they think they're just going to wake up one day and then somehow magically $1 million is going to fall into their bank account.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that day. I'm literally still waiting.
It's got to be any minute now.
I know. Like, if anybody listening, if you figured out that day, please share it with me, because I'm still waiting.
Please leave a comment or a direct message for either of us on Instagram. Let us know how that worked out.
Yeah.
All right.
And the reason why I do a lot of this is because I do work as a budgetologist, and I see the amount of money that business owners spend trying to be successful. And I know we all need the help. We all need the coaching, but it is kind of sad when I see so many people spending $24,000, $25,000 on coaching programs, and they only get the basics of what they already knew. And it just comes down to the mindset of doing the work. So I just like to tell people that first thing you got to do is get your mind right, because nobody's selling you rocket science secrets. They're just telling you, they're crafting ways, and you're spending a lot of money just for somebody to tell you, you need to go do some work.
Well, and it really does come down to mindset. That's one of the things I talk about often on this podcast, is that the reason it's called the Feed You podcast is because it feeds every piece of your being.
Yes.
It's not just your business. It's not just your emotional piece, but that a lot of being an entrepreneur is doing that internal work. And
Ooh, yes, it is.
Get that nonsense out of your head and that garbage that's carrying around, that $1 million might as well be $10 million, because
yeah, you're preaching now.
All right, I'm done preaching. All right, you want to do some coffee date questions? These are my favorite. They're so fun.
Drink coffee.
All right, so I know I already know you have a favorite podcast. So do you want to tell us what your favorite podcast is?
Oh, my favorite podcast at the moment is The 7-Minute Mentor by Mr. Mark Asquith. So he's actually a mentor of mine. Love what he's saying, and he drops some real cool knowledge bombs every day.
Nice. Yeah, he is cool. I listen to him too. Okay, frozen or scooped ice cream?
You mean frozen out of the machine thing?
Like frozen, like McDonald's or...
Oh, no, that stuff makes my stomach hurt. So it has to be scooped, because I used to be a milkshake girl.
Oh, nice. Do you have a favorite flavor?
You know what? I'm so vanilla right now. I'm so plain. I'm so vanilla.
It's all right. Okay, I know this will be a good one. It's DC or Marvel?
Oh, God. This is another podcast. Do you really want to get started on this one? I am a DC girl. I am definitely a DC girl, but I love the Marvel movies.
Nice. And I'm the opposite. Isn't that funny? I actually ended up buying the Marvel encyclopedia for myself for my birthday.
I got it for Christmas from my in-laws.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, so let's see here. What is your most unusual talent? And you can't tell us baton twirling, because you already told us that.
My most unusual talent. Oh my gosh, I don't know what that, I mean, okay, I've danced, I've done baton twirling. I don't know. I'm stumped. I'm stumped. I don't know how to. Do I have a talent? Okay, come back to that one.
I'll come back to that one.
Let's do another show on that one. No.
Beach or mountains?
Both.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you have a favorite spot. Tell us your favorite spot you've traveled to in the last year.
Oh, geez, I travel so many places. Well, the place that I want to go to that has the beach and the mountains, or some sort of mountains, is St. Lucia, because it's all there, the ocean and everything. But my favorite place so far, I'm still a London girl. I love London, hands down. That is my favorite city in the whole wide world.
Nice. I have to go with you sometime. I haven't been there yet.
You'll love it. I love it there.
Okay. And what is your kryptonite? Like, what is the one thing that you're like, oh, I know I shouldn't have this, but I'm going to have it anyway?
Chocolate covered raisins.
Oh, that's not so bad. Like raisins are kind of healthy.
Yeah. Not when you buy like a 3-pound bag and you're going to ration it out over the month and it's like gone in a week. No, yeah. So, so no sweets like that, like chocolate covered raisins. Yeah, they cannot make it. And graham crackers.
Nice. I like graham crackers too, but you got to have milk and.
Nope, I can eat them plain. They cannot come in this house at all.
Oh, well, I'll know then not to ever send those to you.
They won't make it past like 2 days.
Awesome. All right. Well, I so appreciate your time and your knowledge. And I know that people are going to want to know more about you and find out more about your speaking class and all the things that you're doing. So would you please share with us the places that we can best find you?
Oh my gosh. You can find me in all the internets of places at Keep Up with Mrs. Jones. If you want to find out more about the course, if you want to subscribe to the podcast, you want to listen to Ask the Budgetologist, go to keepupwithmrsjones.com. And literally on all the places in the internet, Keep Up with Mrs. Jones. That's my brand consistency. That's all I know how to do with branding.
I love it. That's awesome. Good job. Thanks so much for being here. And we will make sure that all of those links are put in the show notes so that people can click right on them and get to them. And we will look forward to possibly having you on again, if I can talk you into coming on again and maybe talking a little bit more about budget.
All right. Thank you. I love being here. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Feed You Podcast at www.elisaconnor.com/podcast.